Top story, the Independent National Electoral Commission has warned political parties and their supporters to refrain from acts of violence that may compromise the March 18th governorship and Houses of Assembly election. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu gave the warning at a meeting with the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. Arise correspondent Chinaza Samuel has this report.
In a few days, Nigerians will once again go to the polls to elect new leaders to oversee their legislative affairs at the state level. 28 out of 36 governorship seats and 993 state assembly seats are up for grabs, and for the electoral body, the task is no small feat.
The governorship and state assembly elections this weekend involves more constituencies than the national elections held about 3 weeks ago. There will also be more candidates involved and more collation centers to protect.
That forms part of the reason for this meeting between INEC and the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. The main objective is to review the security preparations for the polls and ensure the safety of voters and election officials.
For the security agencies, I know a lot has been done. So far, so good. We do not envisage anything that's going to be terrible or apocalyptic in terms of the next few days. Anybody who is itching to undermine this process should please think again. And we're also calling on the political bigwigs, the gladiators, to call their lieutenants to order.
The meeting comes just as the Nigerian Police Force says it has arrested 203 persons for various electoral offences and recovered 18 firearms from political thugs during the presidential and National Assembly elections. The National Security Advisor, Babagana Monguno, says there is synergy between security, intelligence and law enforcement agencies to ensure safety for all. He's asking voters to go out and vote for their choices.
Those of us in the security agencies will continue to work around the clock. All the crisis centers are open. All the communication systems are also open. And we've been talking with the chairman of INEC. If there's anything that needs to be done, anything that needs to be added, my office is always open, ready and available to give that support. Once again,
just as the Inspector General of Police has also directed commissioners of police to ensure that investigations in all cases of violations against the 2022 Electoral Act are concluded and the case files forwarded to INEC for prosecution.
It is therefore important for parties and candidates to speak to their agents and supporters to see the elections as a contest and not war.
While INEC intensifies its effort in preparations for the polls, many Nigerians are hopeful that the electoral body will conduct an election that will be free, fair and acceptable to majority of the citizens after the initial backlash that followed the outcome of the presidential election. Chinaza Samuel, Arise News.
All right, well, Arise analyst Shobowale now joins us to discuss the salient points from this act of admonishment, by the election management body, if any. It's great to have you, Mr. Shobowale. Very warm welcome to the program.
Right.
Now, one thing we have seen this election cycle are assurances, and more assurances. However, of course, there are serious concerns from the polity. We look at states like Lagos, Cross River, Delta State, for example, where the opposition beat out the ruling party in the presidential elections. There are places where people are concerned will end up being hotspots on Saturday. You look at, let's look back at February 25th here in Lagos, where we saw Jennifer, the lady who was scarred on her face and still went back to vote. However, we still haven't seen who the perpetrators are. We don't know whether they've been caught, whether they've been brought to book. Do you think enough has been done to reprimand, to catch, to show some form of action against those troublemakers who were out on February 25th, enough to deter them from coming out again on Saturday?
You see, if you talk of deterrence, there is no deterrence on the ground. But on the whole, the election was largely violence-free, although there are spots of violence in some places. But this time around, you see, the results of the presidential election is bound to affect the sort of turnout and the sort of voter participation we'll have this Saturday. One thing is clear, there could be a bandwagon effect. There could be a reclamation effect. I will expatiate on that. But what is important is that the security forces are assuring us of a safe environment. As long as they do that impartially, there is no problem. The army, the police, it's not the duty of the army to conduct elections. People can be deterred from going to vote when we see squadrons of military people vote milling around. But then they are to deter those who want to inflict violence on the process. As long as they do it impartially, there is no problem. We have had cases whereby some people have been kept in their abode and not allowed to go and vote for one thing or the other by the military. We have had cases of where some people just do not want to vote because they are scared of what they are seeing. Now, the National Security Advisor has assured us of all that. But what I will say is that people are keen to vote based on what happened on February 25th. For example, in Lagos now, the whole of APC in Lagos is on what I would call a reclamation retrieval exercise. Because the Labour Party, gave them the surprise of their life. The Labour Party itself is not resting on its oars. It wants as much as possible to consolidate or even do better. But the PDP too is not dead yet, even though Labour is saying that it should give up its structure for the Labour Party, which I doubt. But it makes the whole scenario very exciting and quite unpredictable, in that there will be large voter turnout. And I assure you, nobody will want a violent environment because they don't want to be disrupted or disturbed from coming out to achieve whatever goal it is that they want to achieve. The same thing goes for Kano. Where we have the Kwankwaso movement, where they won the presidential and quite close. Kaduna too, where PDP won quite close. The Northeast, Borno, PDP won quite close. So, and we have 993 seats and 28 governorship elections to be taken. If you look at the last result, the 12-12 scenario, it has to increase for some and decrease for some. For Labour, you can predict that in the Southeast, it will want to consolidate, but Abga is not dead, PDP too is not dead. I would say APC is literally dead in that area. But there are some other areas where you see there will be restructuring, you get me, of voter turnout, and people will not want violence. They will not want to be disturbed. I can assure you of that. They will not want, except in rare cases where there is intimidation, you get me, or where strong arm tactics are used, or people want to cut away ballot box or don't want people to come and vote. People will want to vote. And I can assure you again, there is a danger of overvoting. Because, Nigerians, even in safe constituencies, they want to inflate the figure to make assurances doubly sure. And then when the results, when you have more voters than are registered, they can be disqualified. So the ball is on. And it's going to be an exciting one for all Nigerians. But I can assure you, in addition to the assurances of the security forces, Nigerians don't want to be violent in this election because some people want to make amends. And then, if you talk of the bandwagon effect, some people expect a bandwagon effect for them to consolidate what they are taking before. And then the underdogs, you get me, who think they can come to the fore and have more votes than they did before. So let's watch out.
Well, thank you, Mr. Shobowale. Just quickly, if you can, you know there are more constituencies involved in this election.
Right.
We know people are going to come out to vote, like you said, but do you have faith that INEC will make sure that they do not repeat what we saw on February 25th?
Well, I think it's up to INEC to redeem its image. You get me now? It is up to INEC to redeem its image. And I have no cause to suspect that they will not do so because their ego as a corporate body is bashed. You get me? In terms of technological unpreparedness. And I pray and hope that this time around they will not annoy people with the shoddy way they handled the last election. So we can always hope for the best.
And on that note, thank you so much, Arise News analyst Dayo Shobowale. Thank you for that very robust insight into Saturday's election.